Welcome to Module 3, Part 3, Quotations. Time to talk about quotations.
Quotations? What are these all about?
A quotation uses the identical language of your original source, word for word, and is enclosed in quotation marks. Use quotations to highlight very important phrases or sections of text. References that really need the original wording.
Professor Francis says,
don't overuse quotations. Save them for ideas that can't be said any other way.
But how do I add them to my writing?
how to quote an expert in 4 easy steps. 1. Introduce your expert. 2. Quote your expert. 3. Footnote your expert. 4. Connect your expert's quote back to your argument.
Step 1. Introduce. You need to introduce your expert into the discussion.
Best not to be rude.
No! Right. You want to preface your quote with a brief statement, signaling that you're borrowing from someone else's work. For example, as Judith Butler has shown, Bob Spitz argues that Bridget Cohen's compelling work reveals that. One last point about introducing. When you quote your expert for the first time, always use her or his first and last name. After that, you only need to use the last name.
Step 2. Quote your expert. Alright, you're ready for the next step. It's time to insert your quote. Make sure it's word for word and that you use quotation marks on either end, like this. To quote jazz rapper Guru, jazz rap was about bringing jazz back to the streets. Be careful to integrate your quote directly into your own writing. This means your sentences should make sense, even without the quotation marks. Take a look. Kermit the Frog's research argues that working through Kermit the Frog's research proves cotton candy is delicious. This makes no sense. And take a look at this example of lazy writing. Prince was a 20th century American singer-songwriter. He made music that redefined a whole generation. This is why his music is still popular. Let's look at one that is effective. While discussing the popularity of 20th century American singer-songwriter Prince, Cyril Blaine proves how Prince made music that redefined a whole generation. Excellent, right?
Sometimes you may need to add or delete words from a quotation to help clarify your quote. When you modify the original text, indicate your changes using square brackets. Take a look. In her review article, Schwa focuses on how this general disfavor toward classical composers resulted from the perceived loss of credibility and prestige. Lots of square brackets. And if you remove words from your quote, use ellipses to indicate something has been cut. Let's look at an example. The practice of so-called dramatic shrieking and acts of violence that have made their larynxes resistant to subtleties. Just be careful. If you find you're rewriting a lot, with lots of brackets and ellipses, it's probably better just to paraphrase.
As for step 3, footnoting, and step 4, linking, we'll cover those in our next lessons. For now, let's review your knowledge of plagiarism, paraphrasing, and quoting.